Well, hello everyone, welcome to another very exciting episode right here on the MIgardener channel. I am so glad that you guys came along for this episode because this has been on my to-do list for a very long time and something that I've been wanting to do a video on, but I just have been so swamped that I have not gotten around to this. And finally I said, you know what, I cannot put this off any longer. So I'm bringing you out, we're gonna do this video and it's gonna be great. So what we're doing today is we're going to be staking up our raspberries. The reason why we have to get this done so soon is because these canes are getting so long. When the raspberry canes get really long, two things happen, and this is the primary reason for why we're staking them, is because number one, they get really long and they fall on the ground. That also does, I guess there's a sub part to that. When they get really long, they fall on the ground and they can actually root. That's how raspberries will spread because they're a cane, and wherever that cane touches the ground, it's almost like a vine where it'll then root again. This can cause the raspberries to become rather invasive. If you want to keep your raspberries contained, staking them up allows them to stand up tall so they're not touching the soil. And part two to that is when they get really long and fall all over each other, it also reduces airflow. And that can contribute to some disease, powdery mildews, blights, and also it can cause some disease inside the center of the plant there that can cause a lot of dying off. And that's why if you see really clustered up brambles, usually they'll have a bunch of dead foliage inside there, and it's just not conducive for a really healthy plant. And overall, the production will be decreased because the plant is fighting those diseases. And then I guess the second reason why you want to stake your plants up is because it allows for the fruit to be off of the ground. When your canes get really long and fall on the ground, they're accessible to ants and rodents and any other bug or thing that enjoys eating raspberries. So when they get super long like this, the fruit forms on the end of the canes on the new growth, and then it gets long and falls over. So all we're going to do is just stake them up so we have a little more fruit up in the air rather than on the ground. So those are the three reasons why you'd stake up your raspberry plants. And how we're going to do it is really simple. We just went to the hardware store and we grabbed these. They're just 2 foot long stakes. These are actually for grading. So they'll stick these in the ground, make them all level with a rope, and then that way they can tell the grade of how many inches per foot of grade there is. You can get a pack of like 30 of them for just a couple bucks. So they're going to do the trick. And then we're also just going to get some twine. This is just regular wrapping twine. It's the cheapest stuff they make. It's also known as butcher's twine. You can get it at pretty much any store. I'm just pounding these stakes in about 5 or 6 inches, and I'm spacing them out about every 2.5 feet or so. And there's not really a ton of weight on these, so that's why I'm not too worried about the structural integrity of these. They're not like tomatoes. You have to really secure them down. Ow. This is definitely where this is where having them out in an open row is better than next to a house, because getting these back here are proving to be a little difficult. So we just got all the stakes put in. Again, they're only about 2.5 feet apart and about 1.5 feet away from the center of the plant here. That way all the canes that are falling over at least have some angle. I mean, putting them straight up is not necessary. You just want to get them off the ground because, I mean, as you can see, if these grow any longer here, if these ones grow any longer here, they're going to be on the ground in about a couple weeks time. So, and all it takes is a couple heavy rains to really knock them down, and then they pretty much stay down. So you don't need to have them straight up in the air. Just something off of the ground is really all you need to worry about. Alrighty, almost done here. Wow, my hands are scratched to no end. Ouch. Also, thornless raspberries are looking quite appealing right now at this point. Ouch. Alrighty, we are finished and it looks really good. Check it out. Look at this. The whole Underside is all clear, so really, really happy about that. That is such a good job done. And just a note, so that you don't have to go through what I just went through, put the stakes and the twine in place before they get this big. They will get this big every single year, because remember, after they flower, they won't flower on that growth anymore. So you might as well cut it back. And that's what you actually have to do. So after all this fruit ripens and the plant goes dormant, we're actually gonna chop it back. And that would have been the time to put the stakes and the twine in, because then in the spring, it's gonna produce all new growth. It's going to flower on that new growth in the summer. After that flush happens, you get the routine, you cut all that stuff back. It will actually still have a lot of growing season left, so it'll produce all of this again, and then it will flower in the fall. Then you cut it back, same thing happens. So it's all that cycle that happens. So knowing that it's going to turn into this before it turns into this really will help you out in the long run, so that you don't have your hands just completely annihilated. My hands are so red and irritated from all the little mini thorns on these raspberries. Unless, of course, you have thornless raspberries, but still, I would wager it's probably just better to do it before this even happens. So I hope you all enjoyed. I hope you learned something new. As always, this is Luke from the MIgardener channel, reminding you to grow big or go home. I'll catch you all on the next episode. See ya. Bye.